I have been seeing this item at the Disney store or at the Galaxy's Edge, and then I have been seeing it at the Star Wars Outpost, the Star Wars Trading Post down in Disneyland, and it's the Darth Vader Pyre Helmet. And yeah, it's a little expensive, $350, but it's a lot cheaper than some of these other ones, like the EFX one that was $1,600 and only limited to 250 examples. So bang for your buck, this is pretty good. Last year, I think I went down there and I saw it, didn't pick it up. Then I went back later and it was gone. And I kind of regretted not getting it. But this time when I went down there to look for the mouse droid, I did see that they had it. So I grabbed it. Well, you clicked on the video, so that's what we're doing here today. But just a little background. So I'm sure you know who Darth Vader is since you're watching this video. In case you're not up to date of everything, I thought I'd just quickly summarize a little bit from what I know. I am missing a bunch of stuff too because I have not read any of the novels. I haven't read the comic books. I haven't really watched any of the animations like Bad Batch and Clone Wars and all that. So there's stuff that I don't know that I'm not really up to date about. But in Return of the Jedi, at the Battle of Yavin, Darth Vader succumbs to his injuries. And at the end of Jedi, they have kind of like a Viking funeral for him. Well, it's not really a Viking funeral per se because it's not on a boat, but it's some of these things that you kind of associate with Viking funerals. The burning of the body on top of a bunch of wood. That is actually called a pyre or a funeral pyre. And it is something that is not very common in the Western world, but it's something that's more common in the past, but also in places like India and other South Asian nations. But India is probably the one that's currently doing it that you know about. They do it on the river. I forget what the river is called. And they send off the ashes into the water. So yeah, so funeral pyre is a wooden structure that is meant to burn a body. So it's like an open air cremation. So that's why it's called the pyre helmet. There is a lot of stuff that's not in the Jedi movie that is being told in like the comics and the books. So after the body burned, there were remnants left, like melted metal pieces and stuff, including the helmet. And I guess Luke didn't, or they didn't take it or bury it or anything, as far as I know. Later on, those items were scavenged and ended up in the hands of Kylo Ren, his grandson. And he had that because he looked up to his grandfather. And there's a whole bunch of stuff here about the voices that he hears that he thinks is Darth Vader, but it's another Sith Lord called Darth Sidious. Yeah, there's a lot to unwrap here. There's a lot of stuff that I don't know, but we're here for the helmet, the prop replica helmet. So this one is made to look like the one that Kylo Ren has in his suite or whatever. So it has the triangle base. Now, when Lucasfilms made the new movies, they started using a lot of 3D printing. And the original helmet here was actually 3D printed. So Lucasfilm has those files. These are the files that Prop Shop created to make the actual original prop. And then later on, EFX used that same 3D file to make a version that they were selling, but they were also using scans of the original helmet, so they kind of like meshed those two together. This one, I'm not completely sure, and I'm not sure if anybody is completely sure, but this appears to be using the original 3D files from the original prop. So this is pretty close to what you can get. Obviously, this is not 3D printed every time. This is 3D printed, and then there's a mold, and then they make it out of that. So there are some details that are lost compared to like the EFX one. I don't have an EFX one here. There's a great channel on here called Star Wars Collectibles, and also on Instagram, and he does a good dive into all of this if you are inclined to look at the EFX version of this. But I think for the money, it's $350. This is pretty much as close as you can get to the real prop. And it's still for sale. So let's bring it out. It's a massive, massive box. As you can see. And obviously it has the traditional, Disney store, Disneyland box, I guess. It's the Imperial style crate. And it is pretty decent. I mean, you're not buying this for the box, but it's nice that they made a little bit of an effort. here we go. Let's get this out, shall we? Styrofoam everywhere. I can definitely tell that this is less detailed than the original product and less detailed than the EFX one. It's more melted, which could be a thing. You can make that a case that that's better, but it is what it is. The details are pretty good. It is a kind of a metallic finish, which I guess makes sense. All the metal just melted and all the paint, I guess, burned off in the melt. It really smells like resin. Interesting inside. I thought it was going to be all resin, but I think there's some fiberglass going on in here because you can see little, little fibers of glass inside, and it appears to have been molded and shaped somehow in fiberglass and then fused together, and then they painted it. It is pretty good. I can't see where the seam is, so they did a pretty good job on that. On the EFX one, the base is removable, and it's a very, very heavy base. Here, the base is very light and not removable. It is kind of molded into the whole thing. That's okay. We don't mind. It's not going anywhere. As just a static display piece, yeah, it's just nice. I wish, obviously, it had been a little closer to the original as it could have been, but I think that would mean that they would need to 3D print everything or somehow mold all the individual pieces and put it together. I don't know how they made this. The fiberglass confuses me, so I don't know how they did it. I feel like they could have done a better job inside. Not that you're going to look inside, but knowing that there should be details inside, I kind of miss having that now. But that's only because I watched the videos, and maybe you shouldn't watch all the videos to see what you're missing out on. This, as a standalone piece, I think is nice for sure. A little soft on the details, fine. Chalk it up to the melting. You could do a repaint of this, and it could be better, but just by itself, you tell me if it's good enough. I think this is good. If it's just sitting on a shelf, part of your Star Wars collection, I think you're going to like this. This is pretty unique. I think for $350, you're going to be hard-pressed to find anything better. I'm seeing all these like custom-made ones on Etsy and what have you. They're even more. They're often like $500. Obviously, if you don't live near a park, you're not going to get it for $350. You're going to have to go on eBay or something like that and get it secondhand, which might bump up the price a little bit. I still think for, $400 for something, $450, this is still a good buy. And it's licensed if you care about that. It is nice. I think it's cool. And it is cool that they decided to make this because it is kind of a weird sculpture to sell, right? So the fact that they're actually doing these kinds of things that are very niche, very nerdy, good on Disney. There must be a seam somewhere. I did notice that the paint here has been the wash, the aging, the weathering has been running a little bit, so that could have been better. But I think these are all hand painted, hand weathered, so you got to find some that are better than this, some that are maybe worse than this, and probably a bunch of them that are very similar to this. So just, be aware that that's going to happen. What is this? It says something in here. It says like and subscribe, which I think you should do if you're new here or you've been here and you've been watching, but you're not yet subscribed. It helps me a lot. It's free. It's easy. One click. Done. Appreciate it. The Darth Vader Pyre Helmet. For the money, thumbs up. I am not mad about this at all. And I think they did a pretty good job with it. And if you like videos like this, check out this video where I compare two Hasbro Black Series helmets of Darth Vader before it got melted. Or check out this video. I'm not sure what that is yet, but I'm sure it's going to be a banger.